Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2024 Archer County Republican Party Candidate Forum. My name is Leslie Hash, and I'm the Archer County Republican Chair. Tonight's forum provides you the opportunity to hear from the candidates in our local contested races.
So the format for tonight will be as follows. Each candidate will be given an opportunity to make a 2-minute opening statement. They will then be asked a series of questions. We will alternate through those, so each candidate has an opportunity to answer the question first and last, depending on the question. And then at the end of the questions, they'll have a 2-minute closing. We're going to try to keep this thing moving as quickly as possible. We do have a timekeeper down here. There's no buzzers or bells or anything like that, but it'll be obvious when you have 15 seconds. So Jordyn, we're going to have you down here. So go Jordyn, Dan, and Judy. Jordyn, we're going to let you have 2 minutes to start with your opening statement.
Thank you all for being here tonight, and also thank you for waiting for the last round. It's been a long night, but we're wrapping it up. My name is Jordyn Berend. I live in Windthorst with my husband and our 2 children. I attended Texas Tech University for my undergraduate and law school degrees. I then returned to the Wichita Falls area as an assistant district attorney for the Wichita County DA's office, where I handled a variety of cases. I prosecuted child protection cases, and I also assisted the civil division in advising county commissioners, legal research and opinion writing, mental health cases, open records, and expunction of criminal charges. Following that, I became a regional attorney for the Department of Family and Protective Services, where I provided direct representation for the state of Texas in child protection cases. I now run a private practice where I handle family law, criminal law, estates, mental health, and contracts. Throughout my career, I have been passionate about the protection of the most vulnerable citizens of North Texas. It is my calling now to continue that mission as the next Archer County attorney. I want to be your county attorney because I believe I'm the best person for the job. I am invested in this community through my faith, through community involvement, service, and my family. Archer County needs an attorney who is local and who is experienced and well-rounded in all aspects that the county attorney is expected to fulfill. My top priority will be to meet those expectations. I will be in the office, I will prosecute crimes, I will assist the commissioners in improving your cities. I'm asking for your vote, and I hope that after tonight you'll also agree that I'm the best person for the job. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordyn. Dan Branum, you have 2 minutes for your opening statements.
Thanks, David. Under state law, county attorneys have 2 main jobs. One is to act as the legal advisor for your elected officials. That basically means keeping them out of trouble, making sure that the county doesn't get sued, and that us taxpayers aren't going to have to pay for that. Second, and obviously the one that takes the most time, is prosecuting misdemeanor offenses. My name is Dan Branum, and I'm running for Archer County Attorney because I believe I'm the most qualified to act for the county's legal counsel, and because I will seek and make sure justice is done. By the time I take office, I'll have 15 years of experience as an attorney. For the first half of my career, I worked at a very large law firm representing corporations in some very big cases across the entire country. For the second half of my career, I've had my own law office. My office has been primarily in Albany, Texas, but I live in Archer County. No matter how this turns out, I'm planning to open an office in Archer City. I've represented hundreds of families across Archer County and the surrounding counties. I also work for Iowa Park, Graham, and Albany as a municipal prosecutor. It would be my honor to act as Archer County's legal advisor and put into practice my 15 years, which equates to 35,000 hours of legal experience. County attorney position is very different than a district attorney position. By state law, our job is to pursue justice. This office does not deal with murderers or rapists. It deals with juveniles, and it deals with people with first-time offenses. Every case must be looked at on a case-by-case basis, and I will do that. I'm out of time. We'll talk more.
Thank you, Dan. Judy Rosenberger, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So I'm not going to get up here and give y'all my resume about why I think I'm the best candidate for the job, and I do believe I'm the best candidate. But my name is Judy Rosenberger, and if you run into Jack, it's in here, Jay, I thought you had the flu, and Scott, or any of the SO guys, and you mention anything about the murder in 2022 against Charles Hunter, you're going to hear a story, because I see them all the time, and I still hear the same story. So in 2022, we prosecuted a murder involving multiple defendants and a brutal stabbing, and these guys were dangerous, and they were gang members. After we rested our case, the defense put the defendant on the stand to testify, and that's my favorite part of trial, and I waited my turn. And while I was able to get the defendant to confess on the stand, none of those sheriff's office guys remembered that, and that's not what they tell. Instead, they remember me grabbing this. It's an exact replica of the murder weapon that was used in the brutal stabbing of J.J. Helms. So I got it, and I went up to the stand without this fancy box, and I handed it to him. And I'm standing this close to him, also to the jury. And I tell him, open that. Show it to me. Show it to the jury. Now, I think I gave the SO guys a heart attack, and I could see Jack just veering at me with his eyes. And I knew they'd probably be mad at me for what I did, but it was worth it. I knew that putting the murder weapon in the murderer's hands would be a big impact on that trial. What does this have to do with me being your county attorney? Everything. It's who I am. I'm not going to back down, not from a murder, not from the good old boys club, not from the right thing to do. I'm all in. I'm on your team, Archer County.
Thank you, Judy. We're going to move to our questions now. Dan, you'll be first up on the first question. You'll have a minute to respond, each one of you. A county attorney handles criminal prosecution, civil law, and advises the Commissioner's Court. What are your qualifications to handle all three of these areas?
Well, as I mentioned, I've been an attorney for quite a while. I'm in my 40s now, and I've represented a lot of big companies, and I've represented a lot of individuals, and every case is different. And when it comes down to it, one thing I've learned working with municipalities is every time it's like renovating a house, every time you peel back the baseboards, you discover there's something else underneath that, there's something else underneath that. I promise if I'm your county attorney, I'll do what I do for any client, which is to make sure we get it right. And if we discover something that needs fixing, we'll fix it. And if we keep having to pull back more layers in that house, we'll keep fixing it until we make sure this county is run well at the county commissioner's level. There's a lot of money. Our budget is big, but it's not big enough. And making sure that the money is used for all of our benefit is a top priority.
All right, Judy, the same question to you. A county attorney handles criminal prosecution, civil law, and advises the Commissioner's Court. What are your qualifications to handle all three of these areas?
I guess I'll stand on this one. So I realize that as your current assistant district attorney, one of the attacks on me tonight will be that I do mostly criminal, but that's actually not true. Before I even went to law school, I spent 2 years at a civil litigation firm working high cases. And then I went to the district attorney's office in Wichita County and handled civil cases and mental health. I was also able to do private practice in a small town in Nocona with a very experienced attorney where I did family law and did criminal defense. Obviously, my main priority has been criminal prosecution, and that has been the protection of children. Everybody knows that. Anybody who knows me, anybody who's read any article on Times Record News knows that about me. What's the point of that? The point is that I'm passionate, and that what I care most about is the protection of our community.
Thank you, Judy. Jordyn, you'll have a minute. Same question. A county attorney handles criminal prosecution, civil law, and advises the Commissioner's Court. What are your qualifications to handle all three areas?
Thank you. And I'll take them one by one. Prosecution, I prosecuted child protection cases for the first 3 years of my career. First as an assistant district attorney and then as a regional attorney. That's what I did for the state of Texas, prosecuted child protection cases. I now am on the misdemeanor appointment lists for indigent defense of misdemeanor crimes. As far as civil, I handle a variety of civil cases. CPS cases are inherently civil, and I take appointments now to represent both parents and children in child protection cases. County commissioners. I believe I'm the only one at the table here tonight who has actually had a hand in advising county commissioners. When I was an assistant district attorney, that was part of my job in the civil division, to research and write opinions to advise the Wichita County commissioners.
Thank you. Judy, you're going to get the first crack at the second question. Over the last year, David Levy, Mr. Levy, who is the current county attorney, has been working by Zoom or through a stand-in during Commissioner's Court. What is your plan for holding the office and the hours you would keep in that office?
Thank you. And I'm not going to stand up here and badmouth any other attorney, including David Levy. While I don't agree with what has been going on in the Archer County Attorney's Office, what we do and what we have to deal with in the Archer community, whether it's criminal, whether it's civil, whether it's just talking to the citizens, requires us to be here in person, talking, doing everything that we can. And as you can see how much better this is here tonight with us in person versus on the phone or via Zoom. And so I think that with anything, we need to be here. We need to be here as frequently as we are called to be, or that we choose to be, and be available by phone, by anything that you need, on call 24/7.
Jordyn, same question. Over the last year, Mr. Levy has been working by Zoom or through a stand-in during Commissioner's Court. What is your plan for holding the office and the hours that you would keep in the office?
Of course, I believe that the county attorney is going to be a full-time job because our current county attorney has been absent from the office for a period of time. I believe there's going to be a lot of making up to do. I'm also a very structured person, and I expect that it's going to take some time to get the level of structure and organization back into the office that would make me and our taxpayers satisfied. My plan is to work in the office Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. I believe that one of my opponents here still plans on continuing in another job, and that is not my plan. My job will be to represent Archer County 100% of the time as the Archer County attorney. Maybe at some point there will be an opportunity for me to take private clients, and I would hope that I can be available to assist Archer County residents when someone walks into the office and says, my grandmother has dementia, I need a guardianship, and I can help that person. But my primary goal will be to be your county attorney.
Dan, same question. Over the last year, Mr. Levy has been working by Zoom or through a stand-in during Commissioner's Report. What is your plan for holding the office and the hours that you would keep in the office?
I was in the courthouse the day that word went around that was going to happen, and I'll tell you that's not ideal for somebody to have to be out of the county that much. But it seemed like they did what they had to do to keep things going. But there will be some making up, I'm sure, to be done. At the end of the day, I'll just say whatever it takes. At the end of the day, I'll work 24/7 to make sure the job that has to be done will be done. I work late hours. I'm not an early bird. I wasn't raised on a farm like my kids are now. But I'll stay up all night if I need to and keep working the next day. That's just the way I work. Juveniles would be my focus. If somebody's asking my top priority, at the end of the day, this position has a vital role in dealing with juveniles that don't always have parents that have got themselves into trouble. And I will work with the community to help find those kids a way to get back on the right path before it's too late, before they have to go see the district attorney's office for high crimes.
Jordyn, we're going to get the first crack at the next question. The county has mandated completeness reporting on criminal cases, which means it has to be at 90% closed or disposed of cases over a 5-year period in order to receive grants and/or other funding. In the past, the county has dismissed a large number of cases to reach that 90% rating. What are your plans to ensure criminal cases are disposed of in the interest of justice?
Right, and I first want to address that reaching that 90% resolution rate by dismissing a mass number of cases is unacceptable. And that means that those cases are not being worked. They're sitting there for years until that timeline comes up and, oh no, we're not going to reach our deadline to receive our supplement if we don't just dismiss all of these cases. I will be working those cases. Those cases are not going to sit there for years until the timeline comes up. My plan is to continue resolving those cases at a 90% rate by working them. Thank you.
Dan, same question. The county has mandated completeness reporting on the criminal cases, which means it has to be at 90% closed or disposed of cases over a 5-year period in order to receive grants and/or other funding. In the past, the county has dismissed a large number of cases to reach that 90% rating. What are your plans to ensure criminal cases are disposed of in the interest of justice?
Well, one reason that's important is because attorneys represent their clients, and many of the people that have criminal charges will have attorneys, and those attorneys know that if they put off the case long enough, it might get dismissed for the reasons you're talking about. At the end of the day, if I'm elected county attorney, that will not happen. As I've discussed, juveniles, first-time offenders, people with first-time DUIs, these things, we will work to give them a path to get back on the right path. However, for those people who are going to insist on taking it to trial, we will take them to trial. We will take them to trial early and fast, and once we do that a few times, there probably won't be that many people wanting to choose that path.
Judy, same question. Do you want me to read it again to you?
No.
Okay.
Okay, finally we address the elephant in the room, which is the fact that the Archer County Attorney deals a ton with the criminal part and not just the civil part. We can get up here and we talk a lot about the civil part, which I believe all of us are experienced to do, but the criminal part is the part that I am the most qualified to do. And in fact, I like this question, the whole 90% thing. I've actually been in charge of in the district attorney's office of y'all's district since I came over 3 years ago. Every year when that comes around, I'm the one, with the help of my office, of course, who sits there and busts behind me to make sure that we get that, so we get that state funding. And I've heard about these numbers over here in Archer County, and disappointing is an understatement. I've done misdemeanors, but I've done primarily felonies, and to say that those numbers will be different, to say that we will be getting criminal convictions with me, is also an understatement.
Dan, the last question will go to you first. As you know, one part of being county attorney entails prosecuting juveniles. What is your stance on juvenile prosecution and why?
Well, I guess I'm beating the drum tonight because this is the third question I'm bringing up juveniles. But I do think this is the one area where the county attorney has the single biggest and most important role. As we all know, most of the people in here probably have wonderful families, but there's lots of members of our community that don't. And these children, they are going pretty hard on a bad path. It will be my goal to help people, kids that get into this situation, help provide them, ideally help them find mentors, help them find ways that they can be employed, help do whatever we can. You have a stick when you're in our position, when you're prosecuting cases, you have a stick, but you also want to have the carrot. And at the end of the day, juveniles just need to be treated differently than adults. And I'm definitely going to do that.
Judy, same question. As you know, one part of being county attorney entails prosecuting juveniles. What is your stance on juvenile prosecution and why?
I think it needs to be fair and just. As we know, not all of us did come from a good family, and some of us are just born into situations that it's almost like you can't get out of. And we hear about that. We hear about the cycles that you can't beat. And that starts with the juvenile level. The first murder I ever tried was Starla Jones here in the room in Wichita County. The guy that we prosecuted was 21 years old, and his dad was a murderer, and he was in prison, and he was on trial for murder. And that cycles. And if we can get in there at the juvenile level and figure out what's going on, what the problem is, what is just, does he need a determinate sentence, does he need probation, what is the best solution for that? That helps our community and it helps the world.
Jordyn, same question, you want me to repeat?
No,
Okay.
And I'm going to echo both what Mrs. Rosenberger as well as Mr. Branum said. A lot of times the juveniles that we see in the system are unfortunately a product of the system, and I've seen that firsthand in my practice. I believe that these kids need help, and the goal with prosecuting juveniles should be to rehabilitate and to help them provide an avenue to them so that it doesn't happen again. We need to provide structure to these children because a lot of times they haven't received that structure and an avenue for rehabilitation. And that's going to be my focus in prosecuting juvenile crimes.
Judy Rosenberger, you're going to get the first crack at closing statements. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, I don't think I said this in the beginning, but I'm not from here. I'm from Montague County. So almost every person that you've heard up here has come up here and say, I'm a 5th generation, I'm a 100th generation. Well, I'm not. And I think that that goes in my favor. I don't have any ties to anybody in this community. I'm coming in to serve in a fair and just sense. And you know, this job is all about teamwork. I think we've all echoed that. Got to work with law enforcement, commissioners, judges, and you, the citizens of our county. And when we worked in our office to change the child pornography laws this last year, I worked extensively with Senator Drew Springer, other senators, and House of Representative members when I spoke at the Capitol on the law. I worked with law enforcement across the state. I worked with DA's offices, nonprofit child organizations, anti-human trafficking organizations. It was a collective effort. And what we did at the end of that is we championed that bill and it became law to strengthen those child pornography laws in Texas. What does that have to do with this? Everything. It's all about working together to make our community a better place for Archer County.
Thank you, Judy. Jordyn Berend, you have 2 minutes as closing statements.
Thank you. Again, thank you all for being here tonight and for patiently waiting through this. I hope that I was able to answer some of your questions about my qualifications and my vision for the county attorney's office. My vision is to provide knowledge, experience, access, and integrity to the county attorney's office, and that's something that I have demonstrated throughout my career. The county attorney's role is more than just prosecuting crime. And I encourage those of you who are interested in learning more about the Caleb's Law that Ms. Rosenberger spoke up to, do some research on it. She champions that as being harsher on child pornographic criminals, child predators, but in reality it's a gift to child predators because it takes a lot more and it's a lot more difficult to prosecute those crimes now after Caleb's Law has been enacted. So please do your research, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to have that discussion with you. I have the experience that the county attorney's office need, but Archer County is more than just one person. We are a family, and we need to protect that family by making sure that our communities are safe for our citizens, both young and mature. It's also a duty of the county attorney to make sure that the county is protected from liabilities. The county attorney is tasked with advising the county commissioners so that the taxpayer dollars are not used to meet liabilities. Rather, the efficient use of taxpayer dollars is what the county attorney needs to be focused on, and it's my goal to ensure that the service that our taxpayers are investing in, they are receiving. Thank you.
Dan Branum, you have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Tonight, my oldest son is homesick with the flu, and I've got 5 kids, and I think they may be watching at home, so I'd be remiss if I didn't say hello to Miles, Jessa, Leo, Huck, and Brooks. My wife is also an attorney. She's been a stay-at-home mom. We'll return to the practice in the future. It would be my honor to serve Archer County. It's a wonderful place. I'll let you in a secret. I'm originally from Oklahoma. I'm sorry about that. But my wife and I, we went to law school down in Austin at UT, and we've stayed in Texas ever since. We lived in Austin, or we lived and worked in Austin, Houston, and Dallas. And now we live in rural Archer County on a farm. And we love it here. Don't plan on going anywhere ever. And I think I could serve the county. I think I could give good advice to the county commissioners based on my experience. But the reality is, no matter what your past experience is, you're going to be faced with new issues. You know, just like any general doctor will tell you, they can't perform surgery on you. And, you know, they might not know all the details of every body part. Every attorney, they earn their money by knowing how to find the right answers. And I can guarantee you, if I'm the Archer County attorney, I'll find the right answers when they're needed. I'll prosecute the misdemeanors, and I'll help the juveniles hopefully find their way back. And that's what I'd like to do. I'd appreciate your vote, but I'll tell you what, if one of these other ladies wins, I'm sure they'll do a good job too. So.
Y'all are excused. I have a few closing remarks, and then we'll be dismissed.